All right, let's talk about the AWS Certified Security Specialty Exam. You've probably heard it's a tough one, and yeah, it is, but it's also a massive milestone for any cloud pro who really wants to prove they've got the chops. So today, we're going to break it all down and give you what you need to pass. So let me ask you, are you ready to show that you know how to lock down workloads on the biggest cloud platform on the planet? Because this is way more than just a piece of paper. It's a statement. It says you're trusted to protect some of the most important data in the world. And that's exactly what we're here to do. We're going to pull back the curtain on this exam. We'll look at the structure. We'll talk about why it's such a huge deal for your career. And this is the best part. We're going to tear apart some real exam-style questions so you can start thinking like an AWS security expert. Okay, first things first. Before you can conquer the exam, you've got to know the battlefield, right? So let's dive into the basic logistics. Let's look at the numbers. So here's the quick breakdown. You've got 170 minutes to answer 65 questions. When you do the math, that's a little over 2.5 minutes for each one. Now the format is multiple choice or multiple response. I remember those multiple response questions really stressed me out when I was studying. But the trick is to just slow down, read carefully, and knock out the answers that are obviously wrong. Just knowing this basic structure is your first step to building a solid game plan for exam day. So what does it really mean when you pass? This isn't about memorizing a bunch of facts. The whole point of this exam is to prove you have hands-on, practical skills, that you can actually design, build, and even troubleshoot security in AWS. Think about it. You might get a question that asks you to secure an entire data center migration to the cloud. It's a test of real-world chops. Okay, so you know what the exam is, but is it actually worth all that effort? Let's talk about the payoff, because trust me, it's a big one. Check out this number. The demand for these skills is just exploding. In just 1 year, job listings asking for this specific certification shot up by 73%. That's massive. It tells you that companies are actively searching for and are willing to pay for people who have these skills. This isn't just another line item on your resume, it's a key that opens a lot of doors. And yeah, we're talking about a serious bump in your paycheck. According to a recent Skillsoft survey, this is one of the highest-paying tech certs in the US, period. I mean, I know people who've gotten a huge salary bump after getting certified. It's a real game changer. The time you invest in studying, it can pay for itself and fast. But, it's not just about the money. This certification builds some serious credibility. It tells your boss, your coworkers, and your clients that when it comes to security, you're the person they should listen to. You become the go-to expert, the trusted advisor. All right, you're motivated. Let's get to the nitty-gritty. We're going to deconstruct some practice questions, because the secret to passing isn't just knowing the AWS services. It's about understanding the logic, how to weave them together to solve really complex security problems. Okay, first up, a classic scenario. You're getting hit with a network-level DDoS attack. Traffic is flooding your web servers, and you need to shut it down fast. I've been there, and let me tell you, your heart is pounding and you gotta think on your feet. So the exam throws this at you and asks, which combination of services will stop the bleeding? The clock is ticking. What's your move? Now, what's really interesting here is that this question reveals a core theme of the exam, layered defense. There's no single magic bullet. The right answer is a combination. Route 53 for DNS, AWS Shield for the actual network protection, and a network load balancer to soak up the traffic. The common traps are designed to trick you. They'll offer you other security services like ACM, which is for SSL/TLS certs, or GuardDuty, which is a fantastic detection tool, but it doesn't actually block the attack. Let's move on. Scenario 2 is a permissions puzzle that trips up so many people. You've got an app on an EC2 instance, and it's getting access denied from S3. The bucket policy looks fine, but here's the kicker. The S3 bucket is encrypted. I've seen this exact issue in the real world, and it is a total head-scratcher. So what's the real culprit here? The error message is pointing you to S3, but is that where the problem really is? How do you give the app the access it needs without opening up a security hole? And here's the secret. The error says S3, but the problem is actually with KMS, the key management service. See, the EC2 instance has permission to read the bucket, but it doesn't have permission to use the decryption key. So the fix is to add a KMS decrypt permission to the instance's IAM role. The exam will try to trick you by suggesting you tweak the S3 permissions, but that won't work. You have to remember that S3 and KMS are separate, and you need to grant permissions for both. For our last scenario, we're diving into something super important: data protection and compliance. A company needs to back up data to another region, but with a non-negotiable rule. Absolutely no one, not even the root admin, can be allowed to permanently delete that backup. This is a very real-world requirement for a lot of companies. So this is all about creating what we call immutable storage, data that can't be changed or deleted. How do you build a backup that's truly indestructible and tamper-proof? So the crucial point here is understanding true warm protection. That stands for write once, read many. The right answer is S3 object lock in compliance mode. That's the key. It makes it impossible for anyone to delete the data until the lock expires. Now, the traps are things that sound good but have loopholes. S3 versioning is great, but a determined admin could still delete all the versions. And they might offer something called backup vault lock in governance mode, but that can be bypassed with special permissions, which fails the requirement. All right, you've seen how to think like the exam wants you to think. So, how do you actually get ready for the whole thing? Let's map out a concrete plan to get you there. The good news is AWS lays out a super clear 4-step plan. Step 1, get familiar with the exam style, just like we did today. Step 2, brush up on your AWS skills, maybe with some training or labs. Step 3 is just review, and more practice. And finally, step 4, take the official practice exam to see where you stand. I used this exact plan myself, and it absolutely works. The key is just to stay consistent. And this chart? This is your study guide right here. This tells you exactly where to focus your energy. Look at that. Infrastructure security is the biggest piece of the pie at 20%. And right behind it, you have data protection and logging and monitoring, both at 18%. If you add those 3 up, that's more than half the entire exam. Knowing this is a huge advantage. It helps you prioritize what to study first and what to spend the most time on. So there you have it. We've gone through the what, the why, and the how. You've seen the blueprint, you know the value, and you understand the logic behind the questions. The only thing left to do is start. So, what's the first topic you're going to dive into?